Ladies and gentlemen, Capcom has made history and is just adding to their legacy at this point. 4 million units sold for Street Fighter 6. This is insane. The game that won Fighting Game of the Year last year. On top of that, Street Fighter known for its utmost classic titles, especially those back in the 90s, especially the Alpha run they had. When you're thinking about Street Fighter, of course, you look at the 90s and the Super Nintendo, that aspect, you know, the cartridge era, which is where I'm from, you know, that era is still just incredible when you had Ultimate MK3, Street Fighter, then later on, a little bit later on, you had Tekken in that mix. And it's crazy to see right now, to witness fighting games in totality. I made a few videos before this, so I hope y'all really go check those out. I loved a lot of y'all's comments and getting back to you all. Everybody's really having great takes. Not necessarily any like hothead takes. It's just everybody has a lot of details into why, you know, maybe Street Fighter or the Capcom Classic Fighting Collection is going to come to Xbox Game Pass, or the other way around is Marvel vs. Capcom Collection going to come to Game Pass, because Xbox did get recently announced for 2025 releases after somewhat of like a withdrawal for a while. But I think Xbox ultimately saw like cha-ching in their minds for these fighting games. Now, go back to Capcom. When I say Capcom makes history and they just have a legacy run right now, one, I feel that this is one of the best Street Fighters in history just due to what it is doing. And I put Capcom in this phrase like this rather than just fighting games, because this is a channel where I build awareness for fighting games. Now, and I mentioned this before also, is that all mainstream noticementship is not really great, right? You don't want to water down shit, but the right type of awareness is great. And so we try to build the right type of awareness for these types of games, because FGC is a niche community. But in recent times, potential Olympics, at least the International Olympics, have approved for fighting games. Also, esports breaks records at EVO, which is just a fighting game event for the FGC. For those, just to give a highlight of what fighting games have been doing. And the incline that it's doing right now is very underrated still. So I'm always going to keep saying that with my utmost heart, that it is underrated what fighting games are doing right now. Then you go into this Capcom Legacy run with not just Street Fighter selling units, but as in my prior videos I have stated, all the collections, all the content, while their game is at their prime. When games go this much into a prime, when I say prime, Street Fighter's been around forever, but for some reason Street Fighter 6 is incredible. It led the most entries competitively, and it has the most casual players and the highest viewership whenever they have actual events going on, even more than Tekken and Mortal Kombat. For sure more than Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 has not reached any type of viewership. It is not completely dead, but Mortal Kombat has had massive issues. What Mortal Kombat is going through right now is exactly what Street Fighter 5 was going through before the Street Fighter 6 release. And so with all that, and then Tekken is Tekken, but it's not, in terms of being the superior fighting game, in my opinion, I still think it's more advanced, of course. But in terms of just viewership, competitiveness, entries, like numbers don't lie, all the numbers go to Street Fighter still. But Tekken is my personal favorite. Again, those two can be debated any chance you like. I'm just glad we can have debates about these good games, you know? So Street Fighter doing this and this type of peak, I would say once again. We don't know how many times they're going to have this type of prime or peak, because a lot of games have come and gone, or there's a lot of great big name fighting game titles, but just with these types of installments and how long Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat have been doing it, that's why they're always going to be announced as the big three. So 4 million units plus, they give a huge thank you to it. And on top of that, it's more of, it's insane, because when you have a game that's doing this well and it's way damn consistent, now you're looking at, dang, more content. Marvel vs. Capcom. Then you have the Capcom Fighting Collection Part 2, which just came out literally 2 years ago. Part 1 did. And then you have online servers now being with these games. And then on top of that, you have the SNK attributions, the crossovers, the marketing, the helpfulness, and just uplifting. So all of this, what, at least in their realm, what Capcom is doing is very underrated. And I say Capcom in totality because Capcom is still creating massive content for other games too. One example is going to be Monster Hunter Wilds. But in just a fighting game aspiration, this is probably the greatest runs in the history of fighting games, at least up until this moment. We are witnessing history day by day or every other day. And it's crazy to really think about that. I actually like, even just from content and then just going to Mortal Kombat 1 content now. Now, Mortal Kombat 1 is not great gameplay wise, which kind of just like, I guess it really waters down everything that Mortal Kombat 1 is doing at times, because the gameplay is still not the way people would want gameplay to be. But Mortal Kombat 1's giving a lot of content too, and Capcom now giving a lot more content, valuable content, listen to their consumers. I think Mortal Kombat 1 is slowly listening to consumers, but at first they kind of just turned their cheek. They just knew they were just going to be cash grabs at some point. And Capcom is really going consumer centric, and this could be risky. And I love this because these are the takes that we always have in our comment section. So always make sure you're commenting. It does help out. It helps us out, like build a community with you all and just to build interactions with you all. And so I always appreciate that. But a lot of the comments that I've gone back and forth with, at least in the other videos too that I had been making, was that some of it was like, well, we don't think it's going to be, some people don't think it's going to be on Game Pass due to, you know, individual units, similar to what I'm talking about today, how Street Fighter sold individual units. Also because former collections were not on Game Pass. On top of that, like, it comes out on Xbox in 2025 when the Fighting Collection 2 comes out with Capcom. So all of that's a big if. So if you know, history repeats itself, as what people like to say. So maybe it does repeat itself and we don't get anything on Game Pass. Maybe it's just individual units. It's a riskier thing how we're going to determine that. But also our support is really important. If you don't feel like you're as important, at least in a voice, just know that we are, because we are a small community. And I say we because I love fighting games myself. And you don't have to be the best at them. You don't have to be at the highest competitive level. You just have to enjoy them. And there's something about fighting games that when you play these types of games and you get a little bit more serious about them, competitive, learning data, learning just everything in terms of projectiles and terms and everything, it's just something that keeps you learning constantly about it, that even up to like FPS games, you'll still want to choose like fighting games if you really get into them. You know what I mean? So I don't know why. It's just something about fighting games. Like me, like I've been really on this huge monumental run with fighting games right now, at least over the last year, since these last 3 big games have been dropped, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken. And so when you think about all these games and you see that there's going to be active servers, you're going to see everything like that. With Capcom juggling all these types of stuff, it is very monumental and very historic. And I can't say this enough, because will it come to Game Pass? We don't know. Will they do certain, like, how is that criteria going to work with the servers? And on top of having a game that's like an almost prime, how will this help new era players play this game? At least like while having the training wheels on, because you're going to run into people that know all of these games for the last like 20 years. You know what I mean? Marvel vs. Capcom, CVS 2, etc. Like these are all games. Oh, Capcom versus SNK 2 for those. Like I shortened it. But newcomers is going to be a lot harder for people to try to like get adjusted to, but at least you're going to learn fast. You get your ass kicked a few times and then you'll be able to like jump right into the games. And so it's just really cool to see how many records. I mentioned earlier the Evo breaking records for esports, but has nothing to do with FPS. The most esports in history, ladies and gentlemen, was a fighting game event. While esports events have all types of genres, right? Then all these are going to have active servers. A game that's in its prime. MK1 even starting to give out a little bit more content. But Capcom thus far is doing something so historic with bringing games that are technically since the dinosaur age, right? My age, I'm old. And they're bringing these while allowing us to play online against, whether it's netcodes or rollbacks, or covering a lot of broken things and glitches, fixing up a lot of the things on the devs end, internally, software, hardware, whatever it may be, for it to actually contribute to the right segues of making fighting games possible online, to at least give you an arcadey feel, is so cool. I think if you can have stuff like that, it's also going to have casual matches and everything like that. Casual, ranked, practice modes. So if there's other things like custom battles, I think they do have custom battles also. You can play with your community. Say if you're somebody like me who YouTubes and streams also, or if you just want to hang out with your friends and you're just not next to them anymore, like the way we had to do it back in the day. Like us back in the day, we had to play these games and we had to be like on a couch, you know, or like right next to each other, plugging in a controller. Now you can have your hitbox, snapbox, arcade stick. You can have anything, controller. You plug it right in and you can jump on our online servers now. And then of course, we're all gonna hope for crossplay. We're always gonna want more, right? But at the end of the day, just what Capcom is doing for us right now is history right before our eyes. And it's just so cool to really catch note of this and really know, like, damn, like these games are really taking it to a whole nother level. Every other week I'm making a video on Capcom now because of how badass they're doing right now. From numbers wise to content wise to delivery wise to listening to it's consumer centric for the most part. They're listening to what their audience wants. I don't think any other, and this is even against mainstream games. Like, I'm not even talking about just fighting games. Like, what Capcom is doing in just a fighting game realm with content and all this content. Only a little over a year within Street Fighter 6, and on top of them winning Fighting Game of the Year last year. Like, barely over a year. They reached their year anniversary like in what, June, I think. And for them to have that accolade and be literally making even more games with servers, and I'm pretty sure devs are going to be working their asses off to ensure like a lot of broken things are getting fixed. If you're going to have active servers, people are going to be complaining about something, especially like OGs, right? OGs are going to know every single broken, infinite, glitches, whatever it may be, like quality of life aspects too, whether it's servers and all that. Everybody's gonna have opinions on stuff, on how things work. And then on top of that, we're the brand new testers for that, right? I just mentioned servers, like I was just mentioning like the gameplay aspects also, but we're also gonna be gameplay test servers. We're the first wave of people that are gonna, especially if you're getting these games like exactly how I'm talking about them, right? I mean, if you're as excited as I am, we're gonna be the first gameplay testers to actually test these games online. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Holy shit. We get to test these games. I would have never thought in the 90s that I was gonna test this game online against a lot of people on the internet. What? That sounds crazy. So those that are brought up in internet era get to find out all the foundation of what the games they're playing today and what makes them love them. There's people that are like Tekken pros that are so damn young that didn't play these games. There's people that are MK pro, like any age or new age, new era fighting game enthusiast, and OGs like me, right? OGs are gonna be tripping like, man, dude, like we never got to like try this out. This is cool. Now I'm in the comfort of my home and I'm still playing against people, right? And also in fighting games, if you like vibe with someone, like you could become cool with them and you train and you learn more with them. You know what I mean? So that's what I love about fighting games too. Like you get to, you know, especially if there's like tons of rematch options. I wish Tekken would have a little bit more rematch options, but we don't want to talk about that. That's happening. And then we're the first ones that get to actually try these types of games on having online servers, you know? And since the Fighting Collection 1, of course, and then now I'm sure they're going to get 10 times better just knowingly how much they have improved, especially now with everything they're doing for fighting games right now, especially hinting at, you know, of course, releasing SNK, you know, just letting us know the Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, releasing Terry, like all these ballsy moves and crossovers and marketing and servers and collections, multitudes of collections, 2 announcements of collections back to back. They announced the exact date which the collection does come out. What are we on right now? It's like September 6th right now. I think it comes out next week and then in the next 6 days. Then after that, 12 more days, you get the Mortal Kombat DLC expansion. In between that, we're getting tons of shit going down too. And it's a crazy year of fighting games. These games were made 11 months apart. Capcom made Street Fighter, of course, and then you had you had Mortal Kombat coming on NetherRealm, then of course Namco and everything with Tekken. These were all made 11 months apart, so not even a full year these games released in a calendar aspect. 11 months apart, y'all, and that was already total greatness. Now you get Capcom doing all this freaking content when they are purely dominating fighting games right now. Now, don't get me wrong. Street Fighter 6 is not as on top of my rotation as I once had it when I first started, like probably like when it first dropped last year. But it's still there for me. But personally, I could never neglect the fact that their numbers have been amazing, right? It's because I rotate Tekken a lot, and I still play Mortal Kombat. I'm delusional about Mortal Kombat. Flame me for that. Okay, I believe that Mortal Kombat could still be Mortal Kombat to some extent, although they failed to do that to us. But anyways, flame me in the comments for that. But Street Fighter still is like usually my third on rotation, which is I need to probably put it back to 2 at some point. I'll keep giving. We're gonna test Mortal Kombat the DLC. We're gonna see about, but I've been real busy with Tekken. Tekken keeps you real busy. So Tekken, I've been real busy with. I'm still newer to the franchise to an extent, so I love to play that. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, I've always played it forever. But yeah, just what Capcom is doing is, I'm just speechless. Games, crossovers, marketing, selling multitudes of units, proactive in streams and proactive on events, outselling events, breaking records, having the #1 entries, getting fighting game of the year, on top of these collections, on top of listening to consumers. They're unbeatable right now. It's a historic run. It's a legacy run. I am so excited that they are selling so many units. No Game Pass aspects, none of that stuff. Just flat out units, flat out gameplay. And the game speaks for itself. And they're a huge thank you to us is for us to be playing all these types of games. Marketing, upbringing, SNK, Fatal Fury, doing things, and I'm pretty sure getting that Street Fighter character in the Fatal Fury City of the Wolves coming next year, which all of that content is going to be like just boom, 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 hitting us sporadically, in a good way sporadically though, man. But y'all let me know y'all's thoughts, man. Again, another banger for Capcom. I feel like every other day I'm making bangers for Capcom because they're just killing it. And it's historic, and we should be happy about that as fighting game enthusiasts, man. Y'all let me know what's up. I appreciate y'all. Peace.